So let's talk about a couple examples. First, Mary Smith Software Services, by the way. These are actual clients that I've had. I've changed the names to protect the innocent. The particulars. Mary Smith Software Services is an established software company here in Austin. 3 owners, Mary Smith, Charles Smith, Becky White. Mary and Charles each own 35%. Mary and Charles are husband and wife. Becky owns 30%. Mary and Becky hate each other. Genuinely hate each other. And so the best way to sort of figure everything out, Becky needs to go somewhere else. And so Mary and Charles need to buy out Becky's interest in the business. Okay? Mary literally Googles how to value a software company. Pro tip, don't use Google to solve a valuation question. Mary determines that the company is worth $1.5 million. Based on a 30% interest owned by Becky, Mary and Charles are about to write Becky a check for $450,000. They run it by the company's attorney, and the attorney says, stop. Have a professional look at this before you go down that road. How would my valuation be different? Number one, in terms of the gross value of the business, I'm not going to use Google. I'm going to apply several different valuation methods that generally fall under several different approaches. I won't spend a lot of time on this. Asset-based approaches, market-based approaches, or income-based approaches. The typical valuation, in order to get to the total value of a business, you will have to apply a combination of different valuation methods and then synthesize them. In other words, reconcile them to get to a conclusion of value. But after you do that, a couple of adjustments. The first is an adjustment for personal goodwill. Again, that number is calculable and has to be determined. Second is a discount for lack of control. Third, a discount for lack of marketability. So what does that look like in terms of the valuation? Total value of the business, Mary actually wasn't very far off in terms of the total value. She calculated 1.5, I calculated 1.6. Don't use that to mean that this is something that you could possibly want to do. A broken clock is right twice a day. This is not a good strategy. The net asset value, assets minus liabilities on the balance sheet, is $125,000. And so the total goodwill, which includes personal and enterprise goodwill, is 1.475, right? I calculated personal goodwill of 64%, meaning that of that 1.475, 944,000 of it is personal in nature and cannot be divided. So the actual value of the business that is divisible is that number less that number, which is only 656,000, right? So are we done? No. Becky's ownership percentage is 30, so the gross value of her interest is 196. But because she owns a non-controlling interest in the business, the first discount that applies, discount for lack of control, 21%. Non-controlling marketable value is 155,472. Discount for lack of marketability, I calculated at 28%. Becky is hating me more and more as I click each one of these, which means that the value that Becky gets from the business is $111,000. Okay? As a comparison, Mary Smith analysis, lower overall value, so lower total goodwill. There is no adjustment for personal goodwill. So the value of the business that's divisible is still 1.5 according to Mary. At 30%, Becky gets 450,000. No lack of control, no lack of marketability. So had I not been engaged in this case, there would have been a 4x difference between what Mary or Becky should have been paid versus what she was paid. Again, this Becky absolutely hates me.